Today we're doing a classic unboxing. This is a Heritage Audio OST-8 ADAT, a 500 series chassis. Well, 8 slots in it, but also the advantage is that it has an ADAT out to connect to this Apollo. And I'm also going to install today 2 Cranborne 500 series preamps in this unit. So I'm going to just take it out, take a look at it, and then install the preamps, hook it up to one of the mics here, play some guitar, whatever, just to test it out and check the setup for something like a Apollo Twin in this case. Trying to hold it steady. So this is what the unit looks like when it's open in the box. So I took the unit out. This is the actual manufacturer's box, and we're going to open this right now. The sound of yesterday, built for tomorrow. We do get some pamphlets here. Thanks for my purchase. And some information about their other modules in the 500 series. They do quite a few of these Neve reproductions, both EQ and preamps and compressors. And let's see what's in the box. So you have power. We have power rack screws. And that's for 220 European sockets. And I'm going to lift up the unit. I'm going to put this down for a sec. This is the styrofoam, the protective styrofoam it sits in. I'm just going to take it out now and take the plastic off. The front, basically, we have 8 slots to put 500 series modules in. We have the front control panel, and we can switch from the different sources in the back. If it's an in, external, out, we can basically adjust it here, and I'll do that when I'll actually install some of the preamp modules I have. And you also have your power, checking the power for each slot in the front here. And I'm going to turn around and check the back. Here's the back. We have the power. We have the ADAT out. You could do both SMUX, which allows you to take it out a high resolution beyond 48. There's word clock here as well. This ADC external in, which allows us to go out to other units and come back in using this as a converter, basically. You have your connections here. You have your output. You have your input here. And you can switch between each XLR connection here if you want to link them directly. Say you want to link up a channel strip of some sort, having a preamp straight into a EQ and then a compressor. You can actually make those choices back here. And then you have your D-sub connections for your input and output, going probably into something like a patch bay or directly out into an interface of some sort. And again, the analog to digital conversion in, you can go directly in here and then decide to then send it out here. So I'm going to install now next 2 of the Cranborne 500 series preamps. So here's the Cranborne audio preamp. I'm going to open this and just show you, and then install 2 of these into the chassis, and then install it into my little rack space there and start testing it. But this is the unit here. So I'm going to stand this up real quick and then show you the process of installing this. You know, when dealing with electronics, you just want to be very careful. Make sure you're not carry any static electricity to fry any of the components. Really don't touch anything but the outside of it. Sometimes you can touch the chassis with your hand and your finger to release any kind of static, or wear a static brace. This is at your own risk if you're installing this. Just be careful and mindful when you do this. So here's the unit. I've took it out of the anti-static box. Just make sure it's aligned properly, of course. Just make sure that that's the top, the basic things. Those are things that may make this difficult if you're trying to do something upside down. It happens. You can kind of see where the back of the unit, where the connections are here, that needs to line up with the socket. And make sure it's lined up. You can even look at the screw connections here and see if it goes right into the pre-drilled hole. And then we're going to gently push it down, and you sort of feel it go into the socket. And again, I can just double check, take a look inside. It's aligned. Sometimes it's hard with certain chassis units to align it perfectly. You kind of have to rely then on the screw holes. Some units have a casing around it or cover around it and quite heavy, so it could be difficult to perfectly align it. The main thing is just not to, if you feel too much resistance and you try to push hard, that's not the way to do it. You might want to jiggle it a little bit, but see if you can align it in advance. And I'm going to attach the screws here. The main thing is you don't need to attach this like you're holding together a bridge. Sure, you want it to be a little snug, but you don't need to use all your force. You can strip the screws and make it hard to remove it when you need to. So just make sure it's tight, but not overdoing it. So I'm going to do that for this unit, and then we're going to actually install the second unit. Same thing, here it is in its anti-static bag. I'll take it out, make sure you don't touch it or just touch any of the components in there. Be kind of gentle with it, and we're gonna put it in the same way. And here we just want to make sure that it's the right side up. It says Camden on top. That should line up with the top here, right side up. You can see that it's aligned with the socket, and just gently push it down. You might use a little bit of force, but not too much. You gently push it down, and it should sit in there snug. And I'm going to put the last two screws on here and go from there. So we have connected the power. We have now the connection for the inputs here. And I'm going to install that in this rack space and then route it and test it. That's the next step. I've installed it in the rack space here. Then I'm going to attach it to ADAT on the unit and set it up in the Universal Audio control panel. So the next step is to actually connect the ADAT in the back of this unit. So now I have switched over to in Reaper for this to come in on ADAT 1. I'm using the Cranborne Audio Camden, and right now I can take a picture of the settings. This is what I did on my Universal Audio. Set the ADAT in here. That's pretty straightforward. It was just part of the channel strip. The one thing I have to switch on the Heritage Audio units, to switch over to the correct sample rate. The button there, the FS button, is where you would make the switching. The rate here is set to 48. I've engaged Mojo and pull the game back a little bit. This is Mojo. Oh, it's getting a little bit crunchy there. This is called Cream on the Mojo. Cream. Put the gain up a little bit. Yeah, it's definitely crunchy. I'm going to take the Mojo off. So now this is without the Mojo. I'm going to compare this to Universal Audio preamps. So this is a test of the Cranborne Audio Camden preamp. I'm at 41 on the gain. I have not engaged the Mojo style on this preamp. Just wanted to test this and compare this to the Apollo Twin preamps. And now I've switched over to the Apollo Twin preamp. And then for level, I set the preamp in at 38 dB.